Are Necropolis Knights any good in patch 5.2? As a Tomb King's player, the Necropolis Knights should be your conscious goal with the cavalry building, ideally built in a major settlement/provincial capital. Other cavalry are either the wonderful sepulchral stalkers, or skirmishers and stopgaps. These are your heavy hitters, and can do tons of work, and they are not exactly what you'd expect. These are construct cavalry, recruited by unit cap from the tier 3 or tier 4 cavalry buildings. The base Necropolis Knights come with 24 entities on Ultra, which I believe might qualify them as large for splash target purposes. The unit has 7,764 hit points for 311 per entity. Each entity has 110 armor, a shield that blocks 30% of frontal small arms fire, leadership 60. So far, so good. Speed 66 and charge speed 100 is going to turn off a lot of people who'd chafed with the Cold One Riders, and this is understandable. Melee attack begins at 40, and attacks are poisoned thanks to the Serpent aspect. Attack interval is given as a shockingly slow 5.4, but that's probably paired with fast animations. Right? Right? Anyway, we'll keep that in mind. Splash target size is small, so infantry only, and max target damage by splash is 3. It's really funny coming back to this unit after having used it in the field enough times, but not having had this exact data available years ago. What this says is that the damage is not being diluted against rival cavalry, but 24 entities can at least damage triple that number in infantry, so 72. That's actually not bad. Ogres, remember, are almost all limited to 3 damage as well, and aside from Ogre Bulls, their unit sizes tend to be 16. Well, let's keep going. Melee defense starts at 43, and frankly that's very good for most cavalry. Weapon strength is given as 67, split between base 25 and armor piercing 42, with a charge bonus of 52 and mass of 1300. The unit is a construct, causes fear, and can hide in forest. So what we have so far is monstrous cavalry that has splash damage against infantry targets, including hounds, is armor piercing, has a very respectable charge bonus, and has a glacially slow attack interval when in pitched melee combat. Well, attack interval isn't everything. It's just to say that you should be either using it as shock cavalry or expecting more from its toughness and staying power than its killing power moment to moment. Now let's look at the Halberds version. Lacking the shield, this version starts at melee attack 32, poison attached again. Attack interval is no less, and splash damage is the same. Melee defense drops to 37. Weapon strength drops to 55, split between 19 base and 36 armor piercing, but there is a bonus versus large of 32. Wait, did that just say 32? This will literally double the base melee attack against any cavalry or large target. Rot Knights have plus 10. Crushers with great weapons have plus 30. So yeah, now you know why this is a tier 4 building unit. The game makes you work for them. Charge bonus is 40, which is still quite respectable, and mass remains 1300. The traits are the same. This is not a roadblock unit like the Stalkers. For now, off to the redline skills. At 3 pips, elite cavalrymen grant speed plus 12%, highly relevant since speed is a sore point, weapon strength plus 12%, and the missile strength is for horse archers only. At rank 7, Dune Rider would grant armor plus 10, melee attack plus 5, and 10% physical resistance. In the tech tree, the 5th dynasty was the one to focus on the Necropolis stuff, so Invocation of Kuaf grants plus 5 melee attack and plus 5 melee defense to both varieties of knights, and Ancient Quarries as plus 10 armor and plus 10% weapon strength. The remaining buff is for Catapults and Casket of Souls. So how do we use the Necropolis Knights? Obviously it depends somewhat which version you're using, but either flavor is meant as an elite cavalry, and by elite, I mean that they can take a beating and dish a beating out, but they are not ideal trapped in melee, exactly as you might expect of them. Rather, it is a shame not to abuse the charge bonus. With this kind of splash, in a faction with lots of chaff, tar pit and pinning elements available, even a single unit can utterly demolish wide varieties of infantry opposition, including more elite variants thereof. This is to say, using the knights is about distracting your foes, turning their heads, giving your knights free shots at the flanks and rear, and then you can leave them in melee to sandwich an isolated opponent, wrecking that part of the battle line. Though potentially overkill for this purpose, they can mob archer lines, especially the base variant, and if you're fighting dwarfs, you'll appreciate the armor piercing as you thunderously charge into thunderers. Even though the Knights can charge units head-on and have good results, it's still not your ideal use. Still, consider looking for those opportunities. The regular speed isn't as high as you'd like, but the charge speed is shockingly fast for the opponent. Now, obviously a lot changes when you get the Halberds variant. While you lose something in terms of general purpose power, 55 plus 32 is weapon strength 87 versus large targets before additional buffs. Considering that both Redline and Tex can add plus 22% weapon strength, you're almost looking at a land-bound version of the Colossadon Riders, subject of another recent video of mine. But with 24 entities, not 10. Having said that, though they can't splash cavalry or higher, which is actually good here, frontage and spacing means that they simply are not your ideal weapons against single-entity monsters. Cavalry, chariots, monstrous infantry, they're hard counters, and while not invincible themselves, 130 armor is in the league of upgraded Demigryph Knights. So if it's not armor-piercing damage against you, you're probably going to last a while. And a lot of cavalry does more base damage than AP in this game. The regular? You naturally get more of them, and they bully the foe in ways your other options do not. But 1300 mass really means that they have an easier time running through your lines on the way to the enemy. Sometimes you just want to overwhelm his chaff to get to the back line or the back line of the front line to kill the elite units. These and other basic strats are naturally learned once you get used to the unit, and as always, charge when you can, remain in melee when the enemy is already being beaten, because disengaging can be messy. They're not small serpents. 2 final thoughts. 1. This kind of unit still benefits enormously from cooperating with a friendly hero or a single entity monster, such as the Necropolis. They can trade targets, the single entity can ruin an opponent's charge bonus first while you charge in after, and so on. 2nd, the Tomb Kings are limited in the magic they can get, but it can be very useful for this unit. Overcast Invocation of Djaf will not just raise damage but add plus 16 bonus versus large, even to the base variant. Aspect of the Dread Knight adds terror, sure, but it also adds magical attack on a unit lacking it naturally. If it was Skeleton Spearman, you might go, meh, whatever. On Necropolis Knights, either version, such tricks bring disproportionate rewards. Take care and have fun going from the City of Death to being the FedEx of Death. The King commands, we deliver.